Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kieran. I'm a junior doctor and a comedian working in Manchester. As 2020 draws to a close, a year of wearing masks, of baking bread and jumping up and down in our apartments to Joe Wicks, we can now look forward to 2021 and hopefully some light at the end of the tunnel. This year I've decided as a personal challenge that I'm going to set myself 5 new habits. The reason that I'm making this video is to hold myself accountable, but also in the hope that some of you guys will join me on this journey of making some new healthy habits. The way I've set this video out is that I'll explain what the habit is, and then I'll explain some practical steps that we can do together to try and build these habits into our everyday lives. If you're new to the team, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can get updates about videos and hit that notification bell. Habit number 1, stop scrolling. It's so easy to lie in your bed in the morning, to scroll and scroll and scroll through your phone, and the next thing you know, 2 hours have passed. And you've not exactly done anything relaxing, but you definitely haven't done anything productive. I'm telling you, I am the worst for this. In 2020, I received more messages than ever. Comments on my YouTube channel, Instagram DMs, messages on TikTok. I was building and growing a community, which I'm really proud of, but at the same time, I kind of felt like anytime I got a message, I needed to reply to it immediately, otherwise people would lose interest. What I realized is it's about the content and the longevity of what you're saying rather than how quickly you can reply back to someone. So I've decided that this year in 2021, I'm going to set specific social media times of day just for replying to comments and messages. This will probably be once at some point in the afternoon, and also every time I sit down to take a poop. The same thing goes for using your phone late at night. That extra 30 minutes you spend using your phone at night doesn't add anything to your life, except that you might see an email that you can't action then, that's going to cause you anxiety because you're just thinking about it and it's impacting your sleep. As well as that, the blue light that's emitted from your phone screen is shown to have a negative impact on the quality of your sleep if you're using it late at night. My aim for this year is to replace that with something more productive, which I'll come on to in habit number 2. So how will I make this habit? Number 1, no phone use in bed, particularly early in the morning or late at night. Number 2, specific times of day to reply to messages on YouTube and on Instagram. And when I'm doing this, I'll set a physical timer so that I know how much time I have to reply to these messages. And finally, I'm going to turn off push notifications so that I don't get tempted to reply to things straight away, because trust me, most things can wait. Habit number 2 is to read less. Now this might sound a bit counterproductive, but actually that's a bit of a clickbait way of making this point, which is I find that I don't absorb as much information from reading things as I do from listening to things. So in this year, I intend on listening to more audiobooks and to read less physical books. That's what works for me. Obviously, do what you think works for you personally. In 2021, I've set myself the target of listening to 1 book every fortnight and to listen to these books passively. It doesn't matter what kind of book it is. It can be fiction, it can be non-fiction, it can be medical, just to gain some knowledge and information or to read for relaxation. The best time for me to listen to audiobooks is in what I consider dead time. So dead time for me is time in which you're doing something else. So for example, when I'm driving to the hospital, which is 25 minutes, when I'm driving back to the hospital for 25 minutes, that is dead time in which I could be doing something. So the way I'm going to listen to these books and to get this goal done is I'm going to make sure I've got audiobooks downloaded on my phone to listen to and from the hospital. So that's at least 50 minutes a day that I'm going to be listening to books. As well as this, if I cut out my phone screen use late at night, I can also then set a timer on something like Audible to listen to an audiobook for about half an hour to wind down before I go to sleep. Because let's be honest, who doesn't like to hear the whisperings of Stephen Fry telling you the story of Sherlock Holmes just before you go to bed. So how am I going to achieve this habit? Number one is having a subscription to an audiobook service like Audible. Number two is to listen to audiobooks whenever I am in the car, so whether I'm going to the hospital, whether I'm going to my personal trainer, I should be listening to my audiobooks during those times. And finally, 30 minutes before bed, I should be putting on my audiobooks to listen for half an hour on a timer before I get to sleep. Habit number three is yoga. Now, I consider myself to be one of the least flexible people that has ever lived. I could hardly touch my ankles, let alone my toes. And I really envy these people that can basically crawl themselves up into a little ball and fit themselves in a suitcase so they can ship themselves off the other side of the world. That being said, I think practicing yoga is a good alternative for me to meditation, and it will also provide some help at preventing injury whilst doing physical exercise, both in the gym and also just generally lifting things around the home. In March last year, during the first lockdown, I did 30 days of Adriene on YouTube. So she's a yoga instructor that has a day-by-day little yoga session that you can do on a 30-day course. So it's obviously free to use because it's on YouTube. And I thought that was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. But after the 30 days, I sort of dropped off and haven't really done it since. During that time, I had so much more energy, I felt so fresh, I felt so flexible and healthy, and that's what I want to get back to this year by practicing yoga more regularly. So the habit I'm setting this year is for a 15 to 30 minute physical exercise activity per day, and 2 of these per week will be a yoga session. So that's a realistic goal for me. So even if it's just doing 15 minutes of simple stretching yoga in the morning, that's absolutely fine. I also think Yoga with Adriene is fantastic and she's a great teacher, so I'll link that in the description if you want to check that one out. The way I can make this habit stick is by tying it to something that I have to do every day. So for example, going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that before work every single day is when I'm going to have to fit this session in. By tying a new habit in with an existing habit like going to work, that makes that new habit stick much more. I personally have found from experience of going to the gym on and off that if I'm doing it after going to work or before going to work, that's when I know I'm definitely going to do it. If I say, oh well, you know, I'll get home, I'll have a couple hours break and then maybe I'll do it, I will literally never do. I don't have the self-control for that. So how am I going to achieve this habit? Number one is by doing yoga with Adriene on YouTube again, and number two is by tying this activity into an existing habit of going to work to make this initial habit stick more. Habit number 4 is to allocate work time. I got in this terrible rut in 2020 of doing work at the same time that I was trying to relax. So for example, I'd be writing a script to the video, or I'd be doing my GP portfolio whilst watching a film. And at that point, I'm doing neither of those things productively or very well. I don't feel relaxed by watching a film because I'm still doing work, but at the same time I'm working at such a slower pace and such a lower quality than if I was just doing work. So in 2021, the habit I'm going to set is to allocate work time, allocate specific work time in which I will be working. So this year I'm going to fully separate my work time from my playtime. So in my playtime I can fully relax and not worry about work at all, and in my work time I'm going to be way more productive. So how will I achieve this habit? Number 1 is set clear work goals. Number 2 is to allocate specific working time in which to achieve these goals. Number 3 is that anything outside of these times is considered 100% playtime unless something urgent and specific comes up that I need to complete. And finally is that this specific work time I'm going to schedule in the diary on my phone to make sure I'm sticking to it. If I've got specific play activities planned, I can also schedule these ones in. If I ever find myself doing both at the same time, I'm going to stop working because clearly I'm not in the proper frame of mind to be doing the work, so I may as well not be doing it at all. So the final habit, habit number 5, is to never ever take the lift. I live in Manchester city centre and there's 3 flights of stairs from the entrance of my building up to my flat, and pretty much every day I take the lift up to my flat. This might sound like a weird and small change that you think may not make a difference to my actual life, but here's why I've chosen this one. It's a small and easy change to implement into my life. It's going to consolidate some of my other changes, like doing yoga, like doing physical activity, and the time difference between taking that lift and taking those stairs is basically none. So the time is effectively the same, and I've done a tiny bit more physical activity in the daytime. By walking a bit more as well, I'm doing more steps, I'm preventing injury, I'm burning a few more calories, and so hopefully that'll make a difference to my physical health. Practically, how will I achieve this habit? I aim to set a reminder on my phone 5 minutes before the time I normally leave for work and around the time that I return to work to say, remember to take the stairs. By setting this reminder, I'm sort of reminding myself and forcing myself to do this. After a while, I'm going to start to do it subconsciously and to take the stairs without these reminders, at which point I can probably take them off because they're going to be super annoying. That's it for my 5 habits, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to the team, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can get updates about future videos. I'd love to hear if you've set yourself some goals or some habits for 2021 and what you think about mine. If you're joining in on any of these, please drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you and we can motivate each other. Take care, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.